Top of the 7th inning, Palm Springs Stadium. A good finish here, 1-0 our score. And the difference in this game comes to the plate in Vincent DeFazio. We have a new pitcher for you, and it is Dylan Ryan, the right-handed thrower for the Coachella Valley Snowbirds, who comes in sporting a 6 even earned run average in just 9 innings pitched. A lot of these pitchers that have given up any runs have an inflated ERA this early in the season in the California Winter League. And digging in, Vincent DeFazio, who is 2 for 2 on the day. And his home run was not a cheapie, and neither was his double that was hit very hard into left center field gap. And he was standing there. The pitch to DeFazio is a hard hit ball over to the shortstop, Eddie Young, who taps his glove, fires over to the first baseman, Joseph Barklick III. And there is one quick out for Dylan Ryan, and pitchers always like getting that first out very quickly when coming out of the bullpen. As we've seen Ryan maybe start games for this for the Snowbirds. He had 3 starts. This is his 5th appearance of the young season, and it'll bring up William Small. So that's the end of the day for Tyler Siaka. Although with the way the substitution rules have been played, maybe not, as Siaka's day appears to be done. He ends with an 0 for 3 line with a strikeout to his credit, and now stepping off the mound is Dylan Ryan. New batter for the Lumberjacks is Belial Kemp. As Kemp waits the first pitch from Ryan, it is a curveball that misses high for a ball, and he's ahead in the count 1-0. Kemp, who we've seen as a third baseman and a second baseman out here, will likely take over at shortstop for Siaka. And this pitch is outside for a ball, and Kemp is quickly in the driver's seat on Ryan, ahead 2-0. So DeFazio with aggressiveness goes after the first pitch, and Kemp patience, and he's in a 2-0 advantage. 2-0 pitch is fouled off, and the count moves to 2-1. Talking about some baseball history earlier on, and well, that's what happens when you talk to a Cubs fan, because it is all ancient history. But I was bringing up the 1954 catch with Willie Mays, arguably the greatest defensive play in baseball history, as this pitch is fouled back to the screen and moves to 2-2. But that is a very funny story, as the pitcher in that game was Don Little. Sal Magley, who became a pitching coach for the Seattle Pilots, was actually the starting pitcher, but Don Little, who was coming in as a specialist, as the 2-2 pitch from Ryan is fouled back to the screen and the count holds at 2-2, came in explicitly to face that batter, who was Dick Wirtz. And Larry Doby, who was the first African-American player in the American League, was at second base, and he came in as a specialist to get out his man, as a 2-2 pitch from Ryan is swung on and missed. It gets away from Pistak, who's going to have to chase this one down, but the speed of Kemp will be too much, and he is down at first base with a strikeout. So an interesting way to reach on the strikeout wild pitch, and it will be a base runner here in the 7th inning. Going back to that game at the Polo Grounds, as Mays made that catch, is about 500 feet to dead center, as that is the Polo Grounds, very short down the lines and long in center field. But Leah DeRocha, the manager, afterwards goes to get Don Little, and Don Little, in a moment of humor, turns to Leah DeRocha and says, "Well, I got my guy."
Hardly, and thanks to one of the greatest players of all time.
As the pitch is taken high to the new batter, Kenny Graham Jr. Kenny Graham Jr., a strikeout victim in the 5th, is 0 for 1 on the night, with Belial Kemp over at first base and held on the bag by Barklick, as the curveball misses high, and Kenny Graham Jr. is ahead in the count 2-0.
A very famous call by Jack Brickhouse on that call. The saying goes, Willie Mays just brought the crowd to its feet. What a catch. Must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people, and boy, did he make it look like one. Made it look so easy.
The 1-0 pitch is outside for a ball, 3-0, and Willie Mays, as you would imagine, is asked repeatedly about that, and he contends that that was not his best catch. He says that he had a barehanded one at Forbes Field as a rookie that his teammates sort of teased him about by just ignoring him when he came back into the dugout after some defensive excellence and a pitch missing very high. And 4 very easy takes for Kenny Graham Jr. will send him down to first base, and it'll move the runner Belial Kemp over to second. So runners at first and second for Jordan Drake now. And Willie Mays also had another one at Candlestick, which we had a lot of wind here at Palm Springs Stadium, but it was nothing like Candlestick Park. And this is coming from a Bay Area native who saw my first ever baseball game at Candlestick Park. And he said there was one that caught up in the historically bad winds of Candlestick Park, and he was able to track it and crashed into the chain link fence that was the outfield fence for a time at Candlestick Park, as this pitch misses high for a ball, and that's going to prompt a visit from the catcher, Casey Pistak, and a 1-0 count. And I guess that's what happens when you throw 5 consecutive balls.
You were talking about kind of how they gave him the silent treatment when he came back to the dugout. Well, that happens a lot now in the major leagues. The guy hits a big home run, he's just rounding the bases, happy as can be, comes back to the dugout, and everybody's quiet, and then you just see him all crack up, and you know, that's just one of the intricacies of baseball, just the game within a game, even among the teams.
This one is hit high in the air, but very shallow right field. That'll be played by the second baseman, Brian Brower, and that's as good as a strikeout. And for Dylan Ryan, it might be better than a strikeout, because his last strikeout is now at second base, as it was a wild pitch that put Belial Kemp on. And there is 2 gone here, should be 3 gone, but there are 2 away with runners at first and second. On the pop out to the second baseman, Brian Brower. And he'll bring up Matthew Thomas for the second time today. He's 1 for 1, and a couple of stolen bases to his credit as well. The right-handed hitting Thomas with an open stance faces Ryan, who checks the runner at second and comes set and fires, missing very high for a ball, 1-0. And Ryan struggling with that release point here, as he has missed up, and that is not a good sign for pitchers, who they say, if you do miss, please miss down. These one are about eye level, luckily too high for the Lumberjacks to do anything with. And now a long look at the man at second. Pitch that is a curveball that cannot find the inside part of the plate. And it is a 2-0 count to the left fielder for the Lumberjacks.
Going off the jokes that are played on players, I was at a Cubs game, and Ryan Dempster was seen putting a cup up on the top of the dugout, stuck there by gum. And about halfway through the game, I just heard, "Oh man!" That's the only part of the phrase I can say. But I looked back in the dugout, and there was actually water in that cup, and it fell down in about the 3rd inning on top of a Cubs player. And Ryan Dempster's just sitting in the corner, just trying to hide his smile. And I tell you what, there's some funny stuff going on in those dugouts.
2-1 pitch was a strike, a curveball to Matthew Thomas. This one sliced foul down the right field line, and the count will even it 2-2. I actually heard a story of some of the more famous pranks played in baseball, and one of them was from a friend of mine who had a math teacher who actually made it to the big leagues at one point for the Astros. A very hot day, because the Astros originally played outside with some good teams originally, with Joe Morgan where he started his career, but there is a player, as the 2-2 pitch is fouled back to the screen, and it remains 2-2. There's a player who's complaining about the heat the entire game. It's too hot out here. I don't want to be out here. I don't want to play in this heat. And the guy on the bench, the math teacher, was, well, let me play then. I'll play. And so in order to stop the whining of the right fielder at the time, they took a candy bar in between innings and stuck it in his glove as the pitch misses high. No, strike 3 called, and that was eye level, and not liking the call was Matthew Thomas. We'll tell you the rest of that story when we come back, as 2 runners are stranded by the Lumberjacks. We've completed 6.5 innings of play at Palm Springs Stadium, 1-0 Lumberjacks. We had the last chance for the Snowbirds. Listening to California Winter League Baseball on CaliforniaWinterLeague.com. It is the last chance for the Snowbirds. 1-0 our scores. We are in the bottom of the 7th inning. Kevin Rogers coming out, left-handed thrower from my neck of the woods, Oceanside, California. Set to try and close this one out for the Lumberjacks. And just to finish that story of the prank, we got a little bit of time as they throw down to second. It was the candy bar on that hot day that they stuck in the glove and put on the top of the dugout while he was batting. It was a long inning, so hot temperatures tend to melt candy bars, and that melted in the glove. Didn't realize it till they threw him his glove out in right field. Stuck his hand in the glove, and apparently wasn't wearing batting gloves either, so it was finger looking good, that candy bar was.
Had a snack for later in the game.
Yes, I guess his teammates getting a little bit even with the whining here. As Kevin Rogers set to begin his outing, the pitch is inside for a ball. Or for a strike, another late call there from the home plate umpire. As the batter for the Snowbirds, who is coming in place of Brendan Miller, is Joseph Barklick III, who has been out there defensively, but taking his first cuts of the evening. The 0-1 pitch from Rogers is sliced foul down the right field line, and it is quickly 0-2 to the first baseman.
We were talking about the pranks One of the more mean pranks that anybody's ever heard of is Kyle Kendrick gets told after the game he's traded to Japan. Had this guy convinced he was going around the world. They pranked him so bad. The guy thought the look on his face is just, you gotta feel bad for the guy.
0-2 pitch, swung on and missed, strike 3, and Kevin Rogers comes right out of the pen and gets the first man by way of strikeout. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. And it'll bring up Casey Pistak for his first at-bat. And that prank was actually done originally by Anderson, who was a pitcher. And he was known for a bit of a goofball. He did the spray-on hair for one day because he had a bald spot. And also with a famous quote of, "He's a good fastball hitter. Does that mean I should throw him a bad fastball?" He was a little out there. He also became a coach later on in the Phillies organization as Rogers kicks and fires in a fastball that is by the new catcher for the Snowbirds, Casey Pistak, and he's behind in the count 0-1.
Ken Griffey Jr., another guy who always enjoys a little funny owed his manager Lou Pinella a steak dinner.
Pitch swung on and missed 0-2 quickly to Casey Pistak.
So instead of taking his skipper out to, a nice restaurant, he brought the restaurant to him and bought him a full-grown cow. An interesting way to repay your debt.
The 0-2 pitch from Rogers as he's smelling another strikeout. It is swung on and missed, strike 3. Kevin Rogers in full command right now and is 1 out away from giving the Lumberjacks their 3rd consecutive win, which is a winning streak. And there are 2 gone, and the Snowbirds down to their final out. And it's a pitcher, Bryce Manning, but he doesn't hit like a pitcher as he's 2 for 2 on the day, 3 for 3 on the season. He is the final chance for the Snowbirds.
Kevin Rogers, 1-2, 6 appearances already, no ERA, 7 innings pitched, 2 runs, 13 strikeouts. None of those runs earned, obviously, but 13 strikeouts in 7 innings, now 15.
The pitch from Rogers is inside for a ball. The first one he's thrown in his brief outing so far. And Kevin Rogers is one of the more highly touted prospects that is out here and getting some looks from affiliated balls, as I saw a professional scout explicitly looking for Kevin Rogers down at the auxiliary field. A pitch that is low for a ball, and the count is 2-0. So good things coming when you don't allow runs, and that's a big thing for a pitcher, or so I am told.
Yeah, especially for a left-handed pitcher too, who throws upper 80s, maybe touching 90, 91 every now and again, but if he gets on the right program, he can really get some velocity.
Pitch high for a ball, and the count is 2-1. As I missed that last one, it was actually a called strike. As I mentioned, the zone appears to be widening a little bit, and the calls apparently are coming a little bit later than usual, as I'm giving up on it. I'm not waiting for the umpire. I'm calling them myself. As the 2-1 pitch coming from Kevin Rogers with 2 gone here in the last of the 7th, it is fouled right back to the screen, and the Snowbirds down to their final strike. And it's a good thing they've got their Babe Ruth at the plate right now, with Bryce Manning, who is 3 for 3 on this season. He is yet to be out, and Kevin Rogers is 1 pitch away from doing just that. It is a 1-0 game, the only run scored on a home run back in the 3rd inning by Vincent DeFazio. Time is now called by Bryce Manning, who's going to step out and try and slow this game down, and maybe allow this game to extend just a few extra seconds, as the 2-2 pitch from Kevin Rogers has the one he wants and kicks and fires. It is low for a ball, and the count goes full, 3-2. Should the inning continue, should the game continue, in the on-deck circle, Bobby McLaughlin would hit. That is Andre Oliver in the on-deck circle, as you can always spot him with the bright yellow shoes. Payoff pitch from Rogers with 2 out in the last of the 7th, swung on and fouled as he just gets a piece of it and out of the glove of the catcher Jordan Drake, and the count will stay at 3-2, and we'll do it again.
And if you can get Andre Oliver up, very hot right now, 6 of 15, 4 runs and 2 doubles, 2 RBIs as well, so he's a guy you want at the plate.
As darkness has descended in Coachella Valley, it is a 3-2 pitch upcoming from Rogers. The kicks and fires. The pitch is fouled back to the screen, and Manning giving the biggest battle here for the pitcher Kevin Rogers in his inning of work. 1-0 score, And Kevin Rogers is seeing Bryce Manning foul off some pitches, so he's not only an average hitter, but he's also a pesky hitter as he's forcing Rogers to come into him. 3-2 pitch to Manning, and this one is a chopper over to the shortstop Matthew Thomas, who gloves it, fires over to first to Nash Hutter, and the out is recorded. The game is over, and a 1-0 pitcher's duel to finish off the quadruple header at Palm Springs Stadium. Exciting baseball.